26.1 is coming soon. We're going to go through all the features in this video. If you're new here, my name is Tableau Tim. I've been using Tableau for over a decade. I've been teaching Tableau here for the last 5 years. And what I like to do is break down every release and go through some of the features that are coming up. And then when it drops, I go through each of the features in separate videos. But in this video, I just want to break down each of the releases and let you know what's coming in the next release. If I look at the list, just at the top, it's a very short list. It's quite compressed. If we sort of synthesize down what's specifically available in desktop or the standard authoring experience, it's a little less. Tableau Next dominates a lot of these feature releases. So Tableau is a very big and expanded platform. I actually have a course on LinkedIn that covers the whole entire platform, including Tableau Next and all of this wonderful stuff. So go ahead and check those out. What I will say is this little drop down here gives you a list of all the different parts of the Tableau ecosystem in a product breakdown, which is actually quite handy because then you can take the thing that I think most of you are here for, which is Tableau Desktop. And when you list just the desktop features, then you get a really focused list of what's available or what's coming in this release. So this is an incremental release. It's building on what was released in 25.3. Tableau only do 3 updates a year now. They used to do 4. They've dropped down to 3. And Tableau server gets an update every other update. So if you're wondering, hey, why isn't there a server release for a specific version? It's because they skip versions for server updates. So let's look at the desktop features. Rounded corners. I think for the community, this is a big deal. Rounded corners are an aesthetic thing that I think a lot of clients have asked for because they think that it adds a little bit of visual flair to the dashboard, maybe just, takes the edge off certain aspects. And what people have done to date is they've been creating images in Figma or have been using hacks to try and create this capability. And now it's just supported natively, so you can have it as part of your formatting capability. Additionally, Tableau have been incrementing the formatting capabilities to introduce things like star sheets. So what's going to be good about this is that if rounded corners are supported, then you may be able to get these into templates, which then means you have to spend no time on this. To me, that's a good thing. I personally hated how much time we spent rounding off corners when actually we're analytics professionals, but nonetheless, it's a personal taste thing. Rounded corners is now available in 26.1 when this comes out, which is going to be nice. It's available in desktop, cloud, and Tableau Public. If you're wondering, hey, how's it available in Tableau Cloud? It's because there's a web authoring component in Tableau Cloud. So this feature will exist in the web authoring and in the desktop offline version. And Tableau Public has a separate version, which is entirely free, by the way. Tableau Public Desktop Edition, all the same capabilities as desktop, just doesn't let you connect it to a database. Works with flat files, works with CSVs, works with statistical files, works with mapping files. All of those work, and you're going to get this feature in that release as well when that updates to 26.1. Really handy capability. Next one up, AI-assisted color palettes. So color palettes were added in the previous releases, and what I'll add here is that Salesforce or Tableau like to ship things over multiple ship points. If you see a feature and it's a very big new feature, color palettes being one of them, what they'll tend to do is follow up with quick succession in following releases, improvements to that feature. This is one of those. So we had color palettes in the last release. In this release, what they've done is given you the ability to use AI to actually use this capability. Now, the thing about this feature is that I do believe it requires you to have the AI component available on your Tableau Cloud instance. It does use a specific type of credit, a consumption credit in essence. So you're going to need to have Tableau AI enabled on your platform. If you have Tableau Pulse, then you probably have the same capability already set up. And you can see that it's actually quite nice. Being able just to type something and get a color palette immediately is going to be quite good. Again, taking away time that we spend formatting. So this is good. Generally available in desktop while you are signed into a Tableau agent enabled site. So that's the detail I was calling out there. A Tableau agent enabled site will have Tableau AI enabled, which in itself will link to a SKU or a license that has AI enabled. So a bit of a tenuous link, but it's going to be there, which is great. So in the previous release, 25.3, they gave you the ability to look at view. They gave you the ability to view data models. Actually, I lie. 25.2 gave you the ability to use and look at view data models, and it allowed you to do this on a sheet-specific level. Now, there's a little sort of improvement here. So let's just read through this to understand what exactly they're improving. Be aware of how Tableau data models are used within a Viz or worksheet, which tables supply data to which pills in a Viz. If a complex calculation is used within a pill, hovering over the pill highlights the participating tables in the view. So this is actually really good. What they're saying is before you could look at a sheet and see the data model components that it was using. That was fine, but you see the calculations in the view are separate from just necessarily the logical components. So if you use a calculation that spans multiple components of the view model that you're seeing in that specific sheet, you can see here we're looking at sheet number 10. If you hover over a calculation, you'll actually get to see which components of the logical model are being used. So essentially another level of perspective on the data model, which then allows you to compute and understand how that data model is resolving. This is helpful if you're trying to fix a broken relationships, or you're just not getting the right number and you're trying to understand why. This should help map that issue out a lot easier. View data model is generally available in Tableau Cloud, Desktop, and Tableau Public. They're almost talking like it's already available. So this might be something you can see in Tableau Cloud already, but not necessarily in Tableau Desktop. So we'll go have a check of that, and once I've pushed this video, we'll see what's what, and then we can start making the videos. Smart filter on table names. So table names were not previously available in the smart filters. In the smart filters, you could search for measures, you could search for calculations, but you couldn't previously search for tables. So here, they're adding that capability with a naming convention, which is the letter T. And so you can type the letter T and then type the table, and then it will shorten that list on the left hand side to that specific table. So really nice touch here. Yeah, again, check out these videos when the actual feature releases. Tableau Maps mixed geometry support. So this is interesting. We haven't had mapping updates in a long time. There have been like subtle cues, subtle tweaks, but this is going to be interesting. Stop pressing with rigid data and start mapping the real world as it is. Mixed geometry support estimates tedious data prep, eliminates tedious data prep by allowing Tableau to visualize points, lines, and polygons simultaneously from a single column. Oh, this is very nice. Spatial objects, if you're doing mapping, there are three types of geometries. You've got a point. Points come together to form a line, and a line that draws around an object and closes is known as a polygon. So those are the three types of visual elements or spatial elements in spatial sort of analysis. What used to be a limitation in Tableau is you couldn't have all of these in one column. So when we're talking about a column, what we're talking about is dimension or something like that. So previously, if you say had latitude and longitude, you'd create a point out of those and that would sit in one column. Then if you wanted to create a path based on a series of points, you'd create another column for that, and you'd give it a series 1 to 10, and then you'd say 1 to 10 is my polygon, and then you could turn that into a polygon that would be in a separate column. What this feature allows you to do is essentially have everything in one column and not have to split those out into different polygon types into different columns, making it that much easier to actually get into visualization. Sometimes what you had to do is do data prep outside of Tableau to get this to happen, or write SQL to get this to happen, which would then move the relevant records, which had different polygons to different columns. And then once you've done that, you can work with it easily in Tableau. So this is, again, a nice feature, just doing what we were doing anyway, but doing it in the product natively, making it that much easier to work with this. Perfect. So REST API connector. Now, I don't actually know what this is. Normally I have a little clue what a feature is, but I don't know. So you get to see my reaction to this for the first time. Connect to data from your REST API endpoint without writing custom code. The new REST API connector unlocks API data for business users without developer resources, enabling self-service. Oh, this is nice. This is very nice. Connector is the intended to replace the deprecated web data connector option. Okay, I was going to say. So, history lesson. Web data connectors came out, I want to say 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, and they were designed to allow you to connect to web data sources. For example, if you wanted to query the Strava API for all your run data, you'd use the web data connector and build a connector for Strava. What this is saying is that you don't need to build that connector. You don't need to build that sort of code base. What instead you can do is you can put the details of the Strava API directly in the connector and pull that data from the API, meaning you don't have to do any development. You still need all the information. So you need the API URL, you need the response format, the JSON path, the authentication. In the world of AI, these are genuinely very easy to figure out. If you don't know them, I guarantee you Claude, ChatGPT will be able to sort of help you pass through this. Put those in and you should be able just to connect to data freely. This is generally a big lifesaver. It saves a lot of people having to do development. It's extremely powerful. Okay, Google Looker connector. Combine the robust data modeling of Google Looker with Tableau's industry-leading visualization. Now, for a history lesson, Google Looker is actually a competing visualization capability from Google. But one thing it has is a way of building semantic models using something called LookML. Now, LookML is proprietary to the Google Looker platform. So what happens is organizations have Google Looker for various reasons. There are actually some parts of Google that require LookML to process and work with big data sets. And what this allows you to do is to put Tableau on top of that. So if we just read through this, combine the robust data modeling of Google Looker with Tableau's industry-leading visualization. So here, you're letting Google do all the semantic modeling, and Tableau is doing the visualizations. Organizations can now instantly access their governed Looker data within Tableau, no manual exports required. This allows business analysts to visualize pre-model data in Tableau using Looker's business rules, enabling a seamless workflow across both platforms. So really nice time saver. Again, generally available in Cloud, Desktop, and Tableau Prep. Actually, that's quite nice. You can bring them into Tableau Prep. Tableau Prep lets you prep data, so you can actually do some additional, let's say, data prep on top of the Google Looker connection. That's actually quite a nice little touch. So yeah, look out for that. Okay, new Amazon S3 connector in beta, actually. Connect to and analyze S3 data in Tableau with the new S3 connector now in beta, essentially just improving the connector. Amazon S3 is a cloud bucket storage solution. S3 stands for Simple Storage Solution. That's sort of the acronym, hence it's called S3. It's essentially a way of storing information in the cloud. And it's done through this process of buckets. And so what you see here on the right is a form that basically asks you for the details of the bucket. You give it a region, the name, access key, secret access key. Once you've done that, Tableau can connect to any data that's in that bucket. Now, when it comes to data types, I think there's going to be a requirement here. So if I just read into this, Amazon S3 data files, CSV and Parquet files. So it has to be explicitly CSV and Parquet files. Parquet is a compressed data format that's extremely efficient. To give you an example, a client sent me a file that was 83 megabytes that contained everything in a specific sample dataset. When I uncompressed that and turned it into CSV, the resulting file was about 1.2 gigabytes for the CSV. So it's actually a very, very good compression format. Very similar to the Tableau data extract, actually very efficient. But yeah, if you put a Parquet file or CSV in an S3 bucket, you give the S3 bucket details, boom, you can connect to it. This is nice because sometimes getting data in an S3 bucket is the default method for some enterprise companies. So just being able to leave it in the bucket and connect directly to it makes it much, much easier. And it means, I hope, that you can update the contents of the bucket dynamically using a process, using some sort of capability in Amazon. And you can just have Tableau update on a refresh because the connector is just going to check that bucket and get the latest information. So again, a really, really nice capability. Custom OAuth for Microsoft OneDrive and SharePoint Online in Government Cloud. Now, Government Cloud is a capability that's specifically for government, and I think government-based organizations, so education, healthcare, all of those kind of sit in the Government Cloud capability. So just bringing this OAuth capability for OneDrive to that platform. It was already available in the general platform, but I think the Government Cloud has a couple of additional capabilities that the standard Tableau Cloud instances don't. I don't know enough about this, so if you know a lot about this, please drop something in the comments and yeah, let me know. OAuth for Cloudera Impala. That's a data source I know nothing about. But let's look. Streamline authentication with OAuth support for Cloudera Impala. By configuring Impala instances to use OAuth, organizations can move away from legacy authentication in favor of modern, cloud-friendly, high-secure method for connecting to Cloudera Impala. So basically, a better connection, much easier, much more modern, and a bit more consistent with enterprise setups we have today. Last one, removal of Marketo and Oracle Eloqua connectors. So connectors actually being removed. I've never seen this for a long while. To ensure a more secure and performant experience, the Marketo and Oracle Eloqua connectors are officially deprecated and will be removed in version 26.1. So if you use this version, if you use these connectors, don't upgrade. If you're one of the last few people still using these old maybe databases, then yeah, don't. If you're going to update. Removal of Marketo and Oracle Eloqua connectors generally available in Tableau Desktop. Replacement for Marketo and Oracle JDBC base connectors are now available for download via the Tableau Exchange. So if you're wondering what is the Tableau Exchange, Let's just go have a look. Tableau Exchange. This is an ecosystem that Tableau or Salesforce run that has templates, which they call accelerators, dashboards, which are just essentially dashboard extensions, which add capability to your dashboards, viz extensions, which are visualizations that you can add to your dashboard, and connectors, which allow you to connect to data. If I click on connectors, it takes us to the list of all the connectors in here. And if I actually type in Eloqua, there we go. You can see the JDBC connector they mentioned is right here. So it is already here and has actually been there since 21.2. So it works all the way back. So even if you're in an older version of Tableau and you don't want to update, you can go back 5 years with this version. So you can just put this in 21.2 and newer and it will work. And a lot of these versions are still supported. There's a certain sort of support period. 21.2 won't be in the support period, but something like 23 and 24 will be in the support period. And you could just update to those and they'll already have this capability. So it's super easy. Okay, so that's it for desktop. What I'm actually going to do is stop this video here. If you want to see the features for desktop and prep, I'll put them in the next video that will follow this one, just to break these up and make it easier to digest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.